All right, let's jump right in with a question that might sound, well, kind of backwards. What if the path to letting go of yourself actually begins with building a stronger one? I know, it sounds like a total paradox, but it's at the heart of a powerful Buddhist strategy for real, lasting happiness. So let's unpack it.
Okay, this is the big one. This is the question that really trips people up. I mean, if the whole goal is to see through the illusion of self, why on earth would you start by building a strong one? It just seems to fly in the face of the whole teaching. But, as you're about to see, it's actually part of a really brilliant plan.
And this point is absolutely crucial to shifting our whole perspective. See, the Buddha wasn't really interested in winning some deep philosophical debate about whether you have a self or not. He saw that as a distraction, a tangle of views that doesn't really help. Instead, he was focused on a much more practical question. What's a skillful way to think about self that actually leads to less suffering?
And that leads us to the key insight here. Self and not self aren't absolute facts to be believed in. They're tools. Think of them like a hammer and a screwdriver. You use them for different jobs at different times, and the whole point is to use them skillfully to build something. A happier, more peaceful life.
So, what's the first tool we need to pull out of the toolbox? Well, surprisingly, it's building a self. And let's be clear, this isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's a requirement. You simply can't start the journey without it.
Now, when we say healthy self, we are definitely not talking about a big inflated ego. It's more like your inner project manager. It's the part of you that can set a goal, stick with a plan, and see things through, especially when the going gets tough.
And this healthy self wears a few different hats. It's the producer that gets you to put in the effort. And it's the consumer that lets you enjoy the good results. It understands karma, the basic law of cause and effect, so it takes responsibility. And maybe most importantly, it's a resilient learner. It's strong enough to say, oops, I messed up, and learn from it without just beating itself up.
I just love this idea of healthy conceit. And again, it's not about being arrogant. It's just that quiet little voice in your head that looks around and says, hey, you know what? Other people have walked this path. They're human, I'm human. If they can do it, why can't I? Without that little spark of confidence, you'd probably never even take the first step.
All right, so now for the other side of the coin, strategy 2. This is where we learn how to skillfully use the perception of not self. And I really want to emphasize that word, skillfully. This isn't about denial or pretending things aren't there. It's all about precision.
This slide nails the difference perfectly. We all use a kind of not self all the time without realizing it. Someone cuts you off in traffic and they instantly become that idiot. Someone totally separate from you. That's automatic. It's reactive. The strategic version is when you're meditating, a distracting thought pops up and you mindfully go, that's just a thought. It's not me, and you gently let it go. See the difference? One's a knee-jerk reaction. The other is a conscious, skillful choice.
And this is where it gets super practical. You can use this not-self tool to create a bit of distance from things that are holding you back. That powerful craving for something unhealthy, you can see it as not self. That sudden surge of anger, not self. It's a way of telling yourself, okay, this is happening, but this feeling doesn't have to be who I am. So here we are with these two powerful and, seemingly opposite strategies. Build a self and use not self. How in the world do they work together? Well, the answer is actually really simple and elegant. It is all about timing. It's about knowing which tool to use for the job at hand.
Here's how you can think about it. The whole path is kind of a process of trading up. You use the tool of a healthy self to build something incredible, a state of genuine, unconditional happiness. But once you've built that state, you don't really need the tool anymore. It's like you use a hammer to build a house, but you don't need to carry the hammer around with you once you've moved in.
And the order here is everything. You absolutely cannot skip steps. First, you develop that strong, skillful self. Second, you use that self to do the work, to practice, to be disciplined, to concentrate. Third, you reach the goal. And only then, once you're safely there, do you let go of all the tools that got you there in the first place.
The Buddha himself gave us the perfect analogy to make this whole process crystal clear. It's one of his most famous teachings for a very good reason. It's the analogy of the raft.
So just picture this. You're standing on the edge of a wide, dangerous river. The other side is peace, safety. It's awakening. You can't just jump in and swim for it. You need to build a raft. So you gather your strength, your focus, your resilience, and you build something solid. That raft, that is your healthy self.
Now, while you're out there in the middle of that churning water, what do? You hang on to that raft for dear life, right? If you decide to let go halfway across, you'll be swept away. You'll drown. This is exactly why prematurely trying to get rid of yourself is so unhelpful. You need that raft to get you through the hard parts of the journey.
And then finally, you make it. You get to the other shore. You're safe, on solid ground. Now what do you do with the raft? You don't strap it to your back and carry it with you. Of course not. You leave it behind at the river's edge. It did its job perfectly, and now you can let it go. So the final question really brings it back home to you. What is the river that you're facing in your life right now? And what's the raft you need to build to cross it? What qualities of a healthy self, maybe it's more discipline, maybe it's more self-compassion, maybe it's more courage, do you need to be building right now to get yourself to that other shore?